Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show and NorCal Sports Network. We've got Dan and Dallas joining us today. Hopefully, Caveman Dan's going to join us in a little bit, and Ricky is going to be on assignment today. He's got a early flight to catch, so he's not going to be able to make it on with us, but we're going to talk a bunch about free agency, kind of do a preview. We're going to talk a little bit about the Giants coaching staff, a couple of additions and a couple new names that are going to be going elsewhere. So we'll touch on all of that. Give our predictions on some of the free agents where we think they may end up, and just kind of look. Maybe we can talk about Buster's comments on their needs. He spoke with Morosi, I think, over at the GM meeting, so we can kind of touch on that as well. But how are you guys doing?
Great, man. Good to be with you again. You're looking really attractive tonight.
For anybody that does not understand that reference, I think Dan told me to go to about the 1 hour and 15-minute mark of the Casey Schmidt interview the other day.
I'm turning beet red.
Yeah, you're gonna have some.
I'm gonna live that one down. I'm never gonna live it down. But I did talk with Casey again by text today, and I had the raw. I asked Lou Marston the name, and he thought it was someone named Heather, and he said, "No, I don't have a cousin named Heather, but I have a cousin named." And then when he wrote the name, I said, "That's it," because it was a unique name, and she had a service dog. So yeah, that was because I didn't want to. I didn't text back and say, "Was I right on my my description?"
Oh man, that was super funny. Yeah,
I was like, "That's a tough one, man." It's like, describe her. I'm like, I mean, how do you do that? I mean, for one thing, I couldn't quite remember. It's been since like the end of August, right? So we're looking at over 2.5 months. And I'm like, I only talked to her for like 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm like, and I don't even know. I said she had dark hair. She might have not even had dark hair. I can't remember,
Yeah, that was a good chat you guys had with Casey the other night. That was really cool to have him on.
Yeah, it was nice to talk to him, and great guy. Really wishing him the best, and I think he's going to have if he stays healthy, if he doesn't get hurt with his, where his swing's affected and all that, I think he's going to have a really good year. And second base is not a strong position in the National League. No. You have a good first half, you can be in line to make the All-Star team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always great chatting with him. He's such a classy guy. Glad you mentioned the hand. That was something I wanted to ask him about because, he got just red hot right before that hand injury.
He was hitting like 270
games. Yeah, and And during that stretch, he was hitting like over 400.
Right.
And it's 12 games, small sample size, but he was red hot during that stretch, and he breaks his hand and he just never could quite get it. And, the plate discipline. And I just wondered if it was just, I remember when Chapman broke his finger in Toronto, he talked about how he kind of lost the feel for the barrel after that. Because he was trying to play it. And I kind of wondered if something similar happened to Casey. And that's kind of why I was like, how much did this really?
And that's something as fans that we don't really think about. They're on the DL or whatever. They come back and then we think, okay, now they're fine. They're 100%. But actually, they're dealing with nagging injuries the whole rest of the season a lot of the time. And, affecting their swing and how the bat feels in their hand. And sometimes they can't swing a certain way because they have a nagging injury. So, that was interesting to hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I just give a quick shout out. As you can see scrolling across the bottom for NorCal Sports Network, we have Chapman Law Group as sponsor, and make sure you give Chapman Law Group a call there if you have any legal issues, you got a personal injury situation, David Chapman and his group will get you top dollar. If you don't, they don't get you top dollar for personal injury. You don't pay anything if they don't win the case. So give them a call, 415-613-9483. Great law group over there. So appreciate them.
Absolutely. So do we want to just kick it off with, we'll start off with the coaching changes, and then we'll jump into the whole free agency predictions and everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so a little bit of action since the last time we went live on here. I know Dan and I kind of touched on it the other day. We've obviously, they're kind of cleaning house with coaches. I think the only two they've said are going to stick around is Tyro Umatsa and Oscar Bernard, who, has the benefit of being bilingual. It's kind of an important thing to have with at least one of the, one of the hitting coaches. So he's going to be around. And then we heard today, Mark Hallberg took the bench coach job in Minnesota. It's good for him. That is in a bigger position. Congrats to Mark Hallberg on getting kind of a promotion. And, but yeah, that's a guy that I don't think anybody expected to leave. Everybody, it's kind of Buster's best friend, and thought he'd be around for sure.
By that.
So yeah, good for him. JP went to Atlanta. Still no word on who the new pitching coach is. I'd imagine we're going to hear a lot of this stuff within the next week, would be my guess. But the big news on the coaching front, obviously they hired Tingler as their bench coach. I think that was the most predictable, hire that we could have imagined. That name, I think, was kind of circled by most Giants fans as most likely to get hired. And then they added Hunter Mentz as their hitting coach, who was the Toronto assistant hitting coach for the last 4 years on the big league club. And I think he's been there since 2019, has been overseeing kind of their minor league hitting since he's been there. So they've had a lot of talent come through the minors there. So big name. I don't know who would have seen that one coming, other than me a week ago. But other than that, yeah.
That was a great call, by the way. Great call. And of course, none of the mainstream guys, media guys, they'll give you any credit, right? It's Steph Curry. You're unbelievable, man. Just watching a little bit of basketball game. He's just like a magician out there. But yeah, no, you nailed it with Mentz. That was good work. I'm going to take a wild shot since you pulled up some, great prediction out of the hat, doing a little research. I have no idea who the next pitching coach is going to be, right? But I'm taking a stab at I got to pull him up here. I can't even remember his name now. There's
the one you sent me earlier.
Yeah, what was his name?
I didn't write it down.
You didn't write it down? I got to look at
Tennessee pitching coach or something like that. Or
yeah, he was a pitching coach. I'm looking up here. His name is Frank Anderson. Okay, he was named interim head coach after Tony's departure, but they've actually named a head coach there, the guy that everybody was hoping for. But Frank Anderson took over in 2018, right when Tony came. So I'm thinking maybe Tony recruited him. Hey, he's been the pitching coach for Garrett Crochet, a couple of other guys that have been drafted. I'm just thinking, he hasn't had any college coaches, right? Maybe that's a crazy wild stab, but Frank Anderson, he looks like he's a little older. He's actually 2 years older than me, so he's 66. I don't know. Wouldn't that be kind of his background? Is he's been, like I said, pitching coach since 18. What else?
He hasn't had any major league experience either.
No,
right?
You got to have. Yeah. Let's see.
I just don't see them doing that. I think that they'd be going too green. I think that if you have a manager that doesn't have the major league experience, then at least your bench coach has to, which he does. If Tingler is indeed the bench coach, and then your pitching coach is going to need to have some extensive experience working with big league pitching, I would assume. But, there's been things that have gone, unexpected in this off season so far. So I guess,
you never know. His son spent 13 seasons as a pitcher in the major leagues, it says in his bio.
I think when you're going to get whoever the main pitching coach is going to be, I have a feeling it's probably going to be somebody that does have major league experience.
Yeah, likely.
And I could see a similar situation remember when Kapler brought in his, massive staff, and it did get I remember it got some criticism for being a lot of kind of green, newer coaches that maybe had a minimal amount of experience, but not a ton. But it ended up being obviously a really good really good staff, minus the weirdo at the top, but it seemed like most of the staff was actually pretty solid coaches.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to get somebody with more experience to be the pitching coach. And then, not necessarily as a pitching coach, but like an assistant pitching coach at least. And then I could see maybe some of these guys making jumps, maybe somebody jumps to the bullpen coach role or one of the base coaches or something. I could see a situation like that, but I do think as the main three spots being your bench coach, hitting coach, pitching coach, I think you got to go more experience. Yeah,
you probably base coaches.
You probably do.
Yeah,
for base coaches, I could see doing that because it's not like they've had great base coaches. At least last year, I didn't think Matt Williams was that good. So the bases are the same length, no matter if you're in college or you're in the pros. So I think those types of skills you could actually, you might have someone who knows what they're doing, in the college ranks, and they could step right into it.
You got a different hat on. Don't you got a different hat you could wear, Dallas? I'll have to change now. We can't. I got to get a little orange in there. How's that? Or
there you go.
I could go.
I have one
this.
somewhere.
I think I'll go with this one. This is a little more comfortable.
I'm lucky. I don't know where to put it down, but when I rocked the Giants hat, I grabbed the old school. Instead of the SF, I rocked the old school logo. Oh God, Dan, you're killing me, man.
What else you want?
Yeah.
I got another half a dozen different ones. I think I got about 12 different styles.
You know what, Dan? I know you don't have that one. So
no, I don't have that one. I'm gonna have to order one of those.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, Dallas, go ahead.
No, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do have someone coming up from one of Vitello's old staff. NorCal fan says Buster's did say Vogelsong as a pitching coach. According to the Alex Pavlovich podcast with Cole Kuiper, Vogelsong has a kid that's pitching age. And
he's not coming.
Seeing him through
his job's taken.
the rank there. So, but maybe someday with him.
I guess according to Dan, the Tennessee conditioning coach is coming. Strength and conditioning coach.
Did the Niners hire him?
Yeah, can the Niners? Yeah, they need. How about a dual role? Hey, come on out to the big leagues and you get both.
Yeah.
So they brought on the Tennessee strength and conditioning coach today, which is, hey, look, that you don't have to have a level for that. I'm telling you, you don't need big league experience. I remember when the Warriors had this gal, and I can't remember her name, but she was in the 15 championship season, and then she went to the Atlanta Hawks organization. They brought in Rick Celebrini. Can't remember her name. I think it was. But then they brought in Rick Celebrini, and he's like even better, right?
Yeah. I remember her because she was always working on Iguodala. I swear that every minute that he was on the floor, they would always cut the Iguodala, and she was like massaging his back or something or shoulder, and she was trying to. Yeah, I that's why I'm like, I feel like I remember who this was.
He takes too many people from Tennessee, though. They're going to be pissed at a certain point.
Yeah.
Why are you poaching all of our coaches?
Yeah. Yeah, we see it all the time. I mean, the Niners, they lose coaches like crazy most years. Every time one of their coordinators took a job elsewhere, you could almost guarantee one of the offensive coaches was gone with him because they were going to take the OC job there. And it's part of it. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. Hopefully we get some news here soon. I have to imagine he's got his eye on somebody. Like I don't think he sits at Tennessee for years thinking, knowing that this opportunity may present itself. Cause he kind of mentioned that conversations had happened a little bit, not super progressed, but like a few conversations were happening over the years, at least the last couple. So I have to imagine that when he was thinking about it, he already had like a list of people that he knew he wanted to try and bring in.
He may have already talked to some people that he's close to and been like, hey, if this happens, what do you think about this?
Yeah, for sure.
So he might have a Rolodex of names that he could go to.
Yeah. And I agree on this. I hope it doesn't turn into let's hire all my buddies. My thing is like, I don't care if they're friends or not, as long as they're qualified. And I do feel Tingler and Mentz are incredibly qualified for the jobs they got hired. So I have no issues with that, but I don't want a bunch of, buddy hires that don't make sense. So.
Yeah. Well, then two of Buster's buddies are gone now with Pat Burrell and Mark Hallberg. So it's there's going to be some new faces for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you think any of the? I saw some people in the chat say Javi Lopez, but he's more in the front office right now.
He just took a role, didn't he?
I think so. I saw somebody else mention George Contos. Who I'd love to have, but he's set in the retirement in the announcing booth. I'd love to have John Schmaltz. Man, that guy would be dynamite as a pitching coach. He just really nails it when it comes down to just giving you such an insight into the game when he's broadcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan says he was just hired into the front office this past week, Javi.
Yeah, into an advisory role. I just found the snippet on X that was talking about that.
That's an interesting question. How many advisors can you have in a organization where I'm curious if you have like 10 different advisors, what are they actually doing? It's kind of interesting, but
it's like they're just on retainer. They're not advising anybody else. So
yeah.
No, Sabian, you don't get all our people over in New York.
Did you happen to hear? I know Dallas, I think, picked up on it. I heard on the broadcast or whatever it was, podcast with Logan Webb was
and
on.
Susan Slusser.
Yeah, and he was talking about Baker and Bochy coming back, and he said, and Sabes. Logan Webb slipped and said Sabes, and I don't know if that's interest. Nobody said anything; they just let it go. But he clearly said Sabes.
My ears perked up, but they glossed right over it and didn't mention anything about it.
Yeah.
I always think of the Dave Franco or the James Franco gif where he's like, wait. If I would have heard that would have probably been about my reaction. It would be cool. There was always that rumor out there that Sabian wanted to finish his, career in New York. Even though it's just as an advisor over there, but I do wonder if maybe they've had some disappointing years. They made the World Series, but anytime they don't win it, it's considered a disappointment in New York, and they haven't won it in 16 years now. So maybe they're trying to shake up some stuff, and he's gonna come back to San Francisco. I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Oh man, the Warriors had a chance to take the lead and turned it over.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, well, we'll jump over to free agents. And people, if you guys have anything you want to talk about in the chat as well, make sure you just throw it in there. We'll probably run through a couple chats towards the tail end of this. Dan, I think, is 10 or so minutes away probably at this point.
Yeah, he's taxiing right now. He's on the runway. His plane just landed down, stepped in.
Yeah. So he'll be jumping over here in a moment. But yeah. That was me.
So,
But yeah, so do we want to just start? Like, maybe I'll pull up the like MLB trade rumors top 50. We're not going to go through 50 people, but I'll just pull that up and we'll kind of run through some people, see where we think that would make sense for them as a good landing spot.
yeah.
Let's see. All right, 2025, 2026. And I mean, any of them we'll talk about also if we think they make sense for the Giants, which I mean, a lot of them, the answer is going to probably be yes, but also, Kyle Tucker.
Sure.
Would be
There's what you'd
realistic,
like and what you think is realistic.
Yeah.
Which maybe he got priced back into their range by not being a $500 or $500 million player, but even though the team could afford that if they really wanted to, but
Yeah. And I think they would have to probably come up closer to 5 if they were going to get him.
Yeah, probably.
Oh my gosh, Wimbiana is just a freak. Oh my goodness, that was a layup, and
he's so long. Like, can he just reach the rim standing? Like,
yeah. Oh my gosh, he just blocked a shot that was a clear layup.
Yeah, it's just insane.
Oh, now we got the ball. 10 seconds to go. No
well,
time.
All right, we'll jump into this, everybody, in about 7 seconds.
Curry fouled.
Yep.
All right, they're down.
He baited them.
Yeah, 108, 107.
I would just like to say, like, everybody appreciate watching Steph Curry for as long as you can, because I don't know how he's still doing what he's doing at 37 years old or whatever he is now, but it's like you look at his age and you go, man, how much longer are we going to get to witness this level of play? Because it's pretty insane.
Yeah,
pretty nuts.
Best player of all time past 30, maybe.
It got to be up there, that's for sure.
Yeah,
he's a sneaker free agent. Dropped to Under Armour.
Yeah, he's wearing the Nikes tonight.
Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't look at what he had on. I heard he wasn't. Obviously he wasn't wearing them. I mean, when he was back during their first couple championships, I think it was after his first, because I want to say I saw him in 2016. He came by one of the courses I worked at, because I used to teach golf and stuff. And one of the courses I worked at, he came by and I was wearing an Under Armour shirt. He's like, "Hey, nice shirt."
Nice. They're up 108, 107 with 6.4 seconds to go. I want to see, how many does he have? He's got 49. He's got 49. He's tied Michael Jordan for the all-time 40-point games over the age of 30. Wow.
He's a freak. Speaking of, guys like Wemby, different type of freak. Yeah. So we'll just kick it off with the number one free agent, and that's going to be Kyle Tucker. Obviously, we kind of glossed over him for about 2 seconds there. He's the number one. It's kind of a clear number one, I think, in this class. This is not as loaded of a free agency as past years, especially when we're going to get to pitching. It's not like top heavy by any stretch. I feel like there's only a couple, there's only a couple free agents that I think truly fit the elite category. And Tucker is probably the clear number one, I think, in this free agency. Probably I think he's gonna get close to $400 million at least. I don't know if his stock took enough of a hit with the dip in performance in the second half when I think he broke his hand or wrist. Like he had an injury that bugged him for a while in the second half. So I don't think he's going to push 500 million like they thought, but I do think it's going to end up being closer to the 400 million range. Where do you guys see him going? Or do you think it's just foregone he goes to LA?
I think definitely the Dodgers are the favorites. And
I don't think he's going to the Dodgers. Just from what I've read, they don't want to sign someone to 10, 11 years. They want to keep it in that 3-4 year range. And he's going to want to go where the big money is. So could go to the Dodgers. Obviously, they need a
Warriors
outfielder.
win.
But
Sorry, Dallas.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went somewhere else.
Yeah. I think this comment is pretty accurate, and this is why anytime the Dodgers get mentioned, everyone assumes they're going to get him. Is if they really want him, they'll probably sign him. But to Dallas's point, I'm not sure the motivation will be fully there on this one.
Yeah, if they had lost the World Series, maybe they feel like they have to go and make a move, but they just won. You just won the World Series. You're going to be the favorite to win it again. You could, at a certain point, do you need to spend another $400 million, or you hang on to it?
Yeah.
So
I don't think money's an issue to these guys. I don't think they even care. I don't think they're thinking about, we got to watch the budget. We better be careful. We're going to be in a situation in 5 years where we may be, they could just.
Money is always an issue, and it comes down to, So up to this point, it's made sense to spend the money because they're winning world championships. They're probably making the money back, but there is going to be a diminishing returns on. Okay, so we get this guy, and we're even better. We win the division, we win the World Series, and how much extra money does that make us? That equation, regardless of if they care or not or whatever, whoever you are, you're Steve Cohen, you're the Dodgers ownership group, how much you're spending versus how much you're making is part of the equation. And I don't know that adding Tucker moves the needle that much more for them than
what if they have a deal like they come up with a deal and say, okay, we're going to give you $60 million a year for 3 years, and then you can enter in free agency again, or we'll give you an option to stay a little longer. Because I think they're just in win now mode. They Freeman's 35-ish. Betts is getting up there. These guys aren't going to be there forever.
Yeah. I think the money in the short term is not an issue with them. I think they don't care about what they're paying, like in the immediate. I'm not convinced they want to add an 11-year contract or 10, 12, whatever. Yeah. Like, I think that's where they may kind of take a step back, where they're, they don't want to have all this money committed when the core might have aged out in 5-6 years. They might not be going, okay, well, I don't really want to be paying, all these guys $40 million a year or anything like that, like Dallas said, on diminished returns. Like, I think that's where the line in the sand might get drawn with them. I think if it was just a short-term deal, like, they probably wouldn't really care that much.
Don't you just start up a new crew? Like, okay, here comes Ellie. We'll sign him.
Maybe.
And we'll sign. Here comes who's the next young star that's going to be a free agent in 3 years. I don't know.
If they have a real need, then they'll open up the checkbook and get someone in there. But
I mean, remember, they got that TV contract till 2037.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So they got 12 more years or 11 full more years of that ridiculous TV contract. I think they're going to spend like crazy for the next 10, 11 years. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It also depends on the collective bargaining agreement and, how things go labor-wise. They might end up with a break, if they decide to put in some type of
well, if they win it again next year, there's going to be a labor. I mean, they're talking now. Baseball would be actually stupid to have a stoppage in the season. They are, the NBA is starting to kind of decline, and MLB is on the way up. Yet we did read the other day that a lot of teams lost money and are looking to cut payroll. Which is, you got the haves and have-nots. Anytime you have that in a sport, baseball's the only sport right now that has your haves and have-nots. Where
I'm not sure who actually lost money, though. I mean,
I can't remember the article.
Open. You don't know if that's the case or not. And, if they are losing money, then why don't they sell the team?
Yeah. I know the rumor was the Mets were one of those teams on the list that lost, which, I mean, they bumped their payroll up.
93% of their
tax and everything.
Wasn't it 93% of their revenue went into payroll or something?
Yeah, something
Well,
like that.
yeah,
Like,
you're gonna lose money when you have no operating cost.
but yeah, Cohen Cohen's one of those guys that just seems like he doesn't care if he loses a little money. He's like, I want to win,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a sustainable long-term plan for him. At some point he'll cut back on that, but I think right now when he felt he had a chance, he was willing to put out the money. And frankly, they should have been there at the end of the year in the playoffs. They
Should have been.
were 20 something games over 500 before their collapse. So, pretty brutal. You know what? My prediction for Tucker is the Yankees. Honestly,
Okay.
I think they want to get a lefty to pair with Judge. I think they're going to let Bellinger walk. They've got some money coming off the books. They already put some money into the rotation last year. I expect them to put a little more money into the rotation this year with some other, we mentioned it's not top heavy, but it is pretty deep, the starting pitcher market this year, with a lot of like mid rotation caliber starters. I could see them grabbing one of those guys and grabbing a Kyle Tucker and trying to, bolster that team up a little bit. So
he'd be great in that ballpark.
Yeah, he's a great fit in the park. He's a really good defender. You pair him with Judge and you're in a pretty good spot. You replace Cody Bellinger with him, and you probably just upgraded your team a little bit, even though Bellinger was really good in New York last season. So I think his deal's off too. I don't know if I mentioned him, but I think they were paying him, 15-ish mil, I want to say. So they've got some money available where they could easily fork out the money for Tucker. And, that's the one spot I could see really challenging LA if they get, heavily involved. So that's ultimately going to be my prediction, is the Yankees with him.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. He's predicted third on MLB.com at 13%. They've got 50% Dodgers, 20% Giants is the second. And then
they don't know the Giants, do they?
Well, no, they do. They have them second. Maybe they know them better than all of us.
Oh, man. There's we get into the free agency. You got there, just came in Propa, yeah.
Doesn't Buster kind of have to land a big free agent roster? It's clearly mid. It needs drastic improvement if he wants to make the playoffs, like he says. I'd say there's a lot of pressure to win next year. I agree there's a lot of pressure to win next year. I don't know if there's necessarily the pressure on him to go get the big splashy free agent, but I think there's a lot of pressure to have a good free agency, a productive free agency.
Yep.
So
I agree. And let me ask you guys. Well, I know we're on free agency, but let's just ask about Dallas. We can't see him. What do you think about
that? Was a big one.
That was what do you guys thinking about this talk about Bryce Eldridge being? John Shea put an article out. I've seen some content creators talk about a trade, and they say, I don't think the Giants are going to do that. But do you sense that maybe the Giants are putting that message out there, trying to see what kind of feedback happens or whatever? Because I'm hearing a little bit too much of it. And I would not. I heard a trade for Bryce Eldridge for Stephen Kwan straight up. And I'm like, no way. There's no way. Stephen Kwan, if you look at the baseball trade values, is a 24. Bryce Eldridge is almost 54.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, Jose Ramirez is 41. You could actually, if you really wanted Kwan, you said, and they wanted Eldridge really that bad, you should demand Ramirez and Kwan and you would give up somebody like, it would be like Eldridge and somebody like a Wisenhunt or something would actually makes it an even trade, because 2 more years is all his. Well, no, he signed for 3 years, I believe, Jose Ramirez through 28. So we're going into 26. Let me just pull it up here. Jose Ramirez has got 21 million coming this year, 23 million, and then 25 million. That's almost that's a third of the entire team's payroll. Their whole payroll for Cleveland is like 70 million, and then 93 against the tax. I mean, I don't know if if I'm not trading Eldridge for Stephen Kwan straight up.
Yeah,
No way.
My stance with Eldridge, and they're in a really kind of precarious spot with him. I'm not unwilling. Like almost every player to me is tradable in baseball. Like there's probably like 2 dudes in the whole league that I'm like, yeah, I would. If you had him, there's nothing a team could give me to give that, and it's probably guys like Ohtani and Judge. You know what I mean? Like it's like there's like 2 guys that no matter what people offered, I'd be like, no. But that said, like if you're going to trade Eldridge, it has got to be for a younger star that's either at the very beginning, either pre-prime or at the beginning of his prime, and be under control. And I think the only exception to that, where I'd say like a guy that's like 30, is if like Scooble was coming with an extension in hand. And I can't get behind trading him for Stephen Kwan, who I get it, he's an all-star, but like this is not like a genuine star in the game. There's all-stars that, Elliot Ramos was an all-star last year. We're not sitting here calling him a star in baseball. Like that's to me, like there has to be, if the Reds are really seriously going to trade Hunter Green, yeah, I would consider that. I mean, he's had some injury issues, but he's elite when he's on the field and he's 26. And he's still under control for a few more years. Like that's the kind of guys that I'm looking. If I'm going to do that deal, I'm going to look at those guys. And they've kind of backed themselves into this tough spot with the fans, where I get why he keeps getting floated out there because they got Devers and they're kind of redundant if you want to look at like position and everything. But Giants fans for decades have sat there going, when are we going to get our shiny toy? Looking at every team around baseball having a 21-year-old 22-year-old star hitter, and we've been offensively starved forever, it feels like. And if they trade Bryce, and it almost does not matter what they get back, if they trade Bryce and he ends up being a 260, 270 hitter that hits 30, 40 homers a year and drives in 100 runs a year, no matter what you got back, fans are going to resent that trade for 20 years while he's playing. So
George Foster all over again.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. Yeah, Joe Ryan, Rick Brown mentioned, like that's a guy, I think he's still like 28 or 29 with a couple more years. If you could maybe even extend him further, like that's a guy that you'd probably consider it pretty heavily. But yeah, it's a tough spot. I mean, it's like if you trade him, you kind of need him to bust out because it does not matter what he does or what you get back. It's going to just piss the fans off if he's a star. So.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the Giants really like him too. I think that it would have to be a pretty big deal for them to trade him, even though he is still a risk at this point. He strikes out too much, and he is redundant. And he's completely unproven at this point. So there's still a lot of question marks with Eldridge, but I think they do value having him, in the organization and having him as the kind of future star guy that's coming up. And so unless they get a haul for him, I don't see them moving him.
Yeah. Can you imagine the financial implications if he becomes a superstar in San Francisco? I mean, a big lefty power hitter hitting balls into the cove. And I mean, San Francisco fans love their power hitters. I mean, you give them a guy like that between him and Devers, like the cove will be packed again.
Plus, you listen to the guy talk, and he, is really well spoken and likable, and he's going to be if he's good, he's going to be a star. He's going to be
he's
the
very
face of the
well-spoken.
Giants, possibly.
Yeah.
If you got skin, and this would be the counter. Like if you get someone like that, it's
you have to. If you get a Scooble with an extension, or I did an actual video a couple days ago on this about Scooble, and I said, should the Giants trade for Scooble? And in that deal, you're looking at Bryce, and I said the only way I'm trading Bryce for Scooble is if there's an extension. I'm not. Now I would trade for Scooble with a few other guys without the extension, and I'd take the risk, but I'm not giving up Bryce Eldridge for 1 year of Tariq Scooble.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Dan?
What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Hey, yeah. It's the Caveman.
I saw NorCal said something like, "Oh, Caveman and Dan C Never been on screen together. It's the first for the San Francisco media market. This is the first for us.
There we go. Yeah.
You guys tell
Tony
us.
and I are outnumbered by the Dans.
Yeah.
You guys tell us who the most attractive Dan is, though.
Yeah.
That is going to go live on in infamy. There it is.
I had to let that be in my first paragraph I spoke. That was gold, Dan. You had me laughing for 30 minutes the other night.
Couldn't keep it together, man.
No, I was dying. But on the Bryce talk, I don't know if you guys mentioned it. You're kind of mid conversation when I came in. How much heat have the Giants gotten over the last, 8-10 years for not being able to develop star talent, or the first round picks becoming quote unquote busts, or just, your top picks amounting to nothing? We've gotten that quite a lot over the last few years. You finally have a player in Bryce that is emerging as a potential superstar, prospect player. Why would you flip him before you have a chance to see what you got in him? Exactly. That's where I stand from. And that's why I think, trading him anytime soon it's impossible.
Yeah, I don't like the talk unless, like Cody said, or I've said, and you guys have all said, it's got to be a superstar player that's established, or a young star that is already started to prove himself in the first year or two. Because just to trade him, like I've heard other shows talk about, go out and do this, get Tucker, and then sign Bryce or trade Bryce for a pitcher, a starting pitcher. Well, just any pitcher? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What are you thinking? Just a pitcher?
But also, I would caution against, forcing him into the major league lineup and, at the beginning of this season. If he's down in AAA and he's ranking, he maintains all this value that he has. But if you just throw him in at first base or a DH and he comes up and he struggles, to make it, to make the transition to the big leagues, all of a sudden he's looking a lot less. So I would wait to bring him up until you are damn sure that he can handle himself against, major league pitching. And so if that means give him a little more time. He's only 21. He just turned 21.
If he has a great spring, I'm fine with him making the opening day roster.
If he has a great spring, be fine. But if it's a mediocre spring, let him get a little more seasoning.
Yeah, I think he's having trouble making contact in spring. I think, and it's a 30% strikeout clip, and he's not having good selection of pitches. But whatever we saw him, 13 games, and he only played like in 8 or 9, which was ridiculous. Yeah. I don't understand why they were benching the guy, but he had good plate discipline, I thought, for what we saw of him. And he didn't, the ball he hit in Arizona looked like I was there that night. Thought it was gone.
The bat quality did not line up with the numbers at the end.
No, they didn't. No.
He drew his walks. He did not chase a ton. He actually was really disciplined in the zone. Yeah, he swung and missed. I mean, he's learning how guys are going to pitch him at the major leagues. He's learning what it's like to see guys that, can command 3 or 4 off-speed pitches in the strike zone. And then I think he drew some really tough pitchers in the few games that he did get to start. Like I remember he got like Gallon one game. I mean, I get Gallon had a down year, but that's a tough matchup right out the gate. He got Yamamoto for a day, and I think maybe he got Yamamoto and Glasnow when they were playing LA. Like I remember he wasn't exactly getting, hey, insert team here's 5th starter. Like he was getting really good pitchers right out the gate, and he his bat quality at least was good. And he was hitting some balls hard. He had some tough luck. That's baseball, but he did not look overwhelmed. Like Buster said, he didn't look sped up. Like that stood out to me. And kind of to both of your points, like when they go into next year, if they're going to have him out of spring training, I don't want them to have him up until they are prepared to just let him take his lumps. Like if you're ready to just say, you know what, whatever happens, but you're going to be the guy for the first 3 months, then I'm all for it. I can live with the struggles, do it, but I don't want to see the crap where he gets jerked up and down and ends up for 3 weeks, doesn't hit right away, and then they go, oh, and they
Or
panic and send him
platoon,
right back
not
down, or they
playing.
platoon him. Yeah, I don't want to see that. So
Yeah.
just one way or the other, make a decision where he's going to
Yeah.
play every day. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
So,
We call that crap or get off the pot. Make a decision.
exactly.
Amen.
That was the Farhan special. So we'll jump back over to free agency, and here's another guy that I thought it felt like it was very very common to think he was going to go to LA, and that's Bo Bichette. And I don't think it's necessarily the case anymore. I kind of get the feeling like he might stay in Toronto. Like
that's what I'm seeing today. That he might get $300 million and stay in Toronto.
Yeah, he's going to get paid like a shortstop, even though he's going to play second or third wherever he goes.
Yeah, I think he stays. I think that's a good call. I think he stays with the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are going to be in on Tucker, and I think if LA gets him, I think the Giants, the Blue Jays are teams that would like to just drive up the price.
Yeah. Because I think Toronto's willing to pay whatever they need to at this point.
I mean, I could see Toronto or the Giants doing something where, we know if the Giants and Dodgers are close, he's not coming to the Giants. The Giants, this would have to be a year where the Giants said, okay, we're going to go 500 million. We're going to go 12. We're just going to eat the back end. We're going to try to do something. I don't think they do that, but it would be interesting to see if there was an offer on the table for 500 with the Giants, if he would consider taking it. I don't think he wants to play in Oracle Park, being the type of hitter he is. I think I'm getting text. You guys could probably hear my getting basketball text here while I'm on the line.
Sound like be in my headphones or someone.
Yeah, it was this. I got my phone on my table, and so it's on vibrate, and so it's like it buzzes off the table. So I'll just keep it off. I'll keep it there so you won't hear it.
I almost feel like Bichette's game would actually fit really well in Oracle.
Bichette's would. Yeah, because he drives the ball.
Oh, you were
talking.
Sorry,
I was talking about Tucker.
Yeah,
I was thinking Tucker. I don't see Tucker. I think he would lose if he went between Yankee Stadium and Oracle. It's probably about 7 to 8 home runs a year difference that on balls he hit last year.
Yeah,
that would have been home runs in New York and outs in San Francisco.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
At that point, when you're making that much money, I don't know that the park matters that much, because at the end of that deal, he's going to be going somewhere where it'll be American League DH type of thing. Last couple of years, probably, but it's going to be whoever can pony up the most money. And it's not going to be the Giants.
A lot of people think he might go back to the Astros.
Makes sense for them.
The one thing he has to his advantage is that it's a weak free agency class. Yep. He's the top of the market as far as big names are concerned. So he's got that leverage up his sleeve to begin with going into free agency. Who's gonna cash out? And
is it Boris's agent?
Probably.
I wonder if they say on here. It might be.
They usually do on like Spot Track will tell you their agent.
Yeah. I'm just pulling the top on the.
Yeah, he is.
Here's my thing, though, with free agency in general and Scott Boras. I do not want to see these bigger names drag out until spring training when they decide to sign. Like, I'm sorry. I want to see some action start, hopefully before the new year. But, like, that one Boras free agency where you had, like, Chapman and Snell signing during spring, I'm like, bro, what are we doing?
Hey, at least Murakami and I think Amai will sign before New Year's.
Well, they have to, right?
I think they both got posted early enough, and it will have to happen.
Yeah, I love it. Well, so we've got Bichette. We all think he's probably staying with the Blue Jays.
And I'm gonna we can jump. I'm gonna jump. Cease is number 3. I'm gonna jump him and go to Murakami. We'll just do a couple of the pitchers together because there's like a whole group of them.
Okay.
that I think are all, we'll just talk about who we think makes the most sense for the Giants for that group. Because
Dan is looking very attractive there, frozen.
is Dan frozen or did he?
I think is he frozen? He looks frozen to me. At
Yeah,
least
he looks frozen. Yeah, I'm gonna let him figure out. Either that or he's messing with all of us.
Let me see if I can pull that off here.
Yeah, I can't hold it that long. Yeah, Jen said caveman is frozen. We'll kick it off with because 2 third basemen, or one of them might play first, but Murakami, and we'll talk Bregman as well. Who do we think? Where do we think those guys are going?
Which one first? We talking Bregman and who else?
Murakami. Well,
All
what
right.
teams out there do we feel really have big needs at third base?
Well,
We know it ain't the Giants.
I think the Tigers have a big need at third base for Bregman. They blew it last year. I mean, I don't know if they blew it. They offered him more than the Red Sox, but he didn't take it.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting.
Deal.
Interesting that he opted out when he had that deal with the Tigers. It was more long term. I think the Tigers are in play. I think the Red Sox are in play. I don't know. Do you think? I mean, the Cubs are going to lose. They're going to lose out on Tucker most likely. They've got Matt Shaw over there at third, who's a young guy, but he's unproven. But I don't know. I would think those are the 3 teams that stand out for third baseman. Seattle, if they lose Suarez.
Yeah, I think Seattle could, but I feel like Seattle's going to pony for Naylor. That's my prediction on that one. That's my early spoiler for when we get to him. Yeah, they would make sense. I see the Phillies are one of the teams. Some of these guys listed in their predictions. They're going to lose Schwarber, or they might lose Schwarber. We'll see. But if they do, that could make sense. Bohm, I think defensively at third, they're not, they've talked. Harper's mentioned that he's willing to go back to the outfield, so maybe they do something like that. Yeah, that's a tough one. I like the Tigers though. I think that's a good one for Bregman.
Yeah. What do you think, Dallas?
Yeah, I can see that. I don't really know. I know he's not going to the Giants though.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't care.
Maybe just do a show. Everybody's coming to the Giants. 40 different free agents. Yeah, they're just going to overturn their 40-man roster. They're just going to go out and.
So,
our third base is spoken for.
They're making $20 million to play in Sacramento for the River Cats. It's fine. They'll take it. Yeah.
Who's Murakami?
Yeah.
Everybody
thinks LA. It's funny.
I don't think he's going to the Dodgers because I don't know where he's going to play. He's not going to DH. He's not going to play first base with Freeman. Third base, they re-signed Muncy. Are they planning on moving Muncy to second? Or maybe they could trade Muncy, I suppose. But I think Murakami fits with either. I mean, I think the Dodgers are there for sure, but I could see the Mariners again, right? I mean, that's a team. Yankees are always going to be in these deals, aren't they?
That's one I could see because they could let Goldschmidt walk.
Mm-hmm.
Who played third for New York last season?
Chisholm
moved over there because I thought he was at second. He moved over and he might have bounced over to third because I know Volpe was at short.
Yeah.
I mean they could. Oh no, they have McMahon. They traded for McMahon.
Oh, that's right. They got Ryan McMahon.
That's it. But I could see Murakami. They're kind of predicting him both at first or third. So maybe they put him at first.
I mean, isn't that Judge and Murakami? Come on. I mean, Murakami's like 265 home runs in Japan, and he's only 26.
Yeah, he swings and misses a lot.
Yeah, he's like a 30%, which is gonna either maintain or go up slightly.
Yeah,
when he starts facing,
I don't want him.
better
I'm
pitcher.
glad the Giants don't have a spot for him.
Yeah,
I
Giants.
don't know if you guys did you guys see the numbers for him over 93 or whatever it is, like over 93 miles per hour. He's hitting like 180 in Japan.
Oh my gosh!
And
he may not be the guy that handles it. He's going to face 95 consistently.
Yeah, I think when he gets, and he'll hit some big ones, and he might hit a couple in like big moments and stuff like that. But I see that, and I'm like, is this guy going to be like the bad version of Chris Davis, or is this guy? I would not want that contract. I'm good with Chapman and Rafi and all those guys, and chancing it on Bryce. Like, no,
you think the Mets take him?
I mean, I don't put anything past Cohen. He's got a lot of money invested, but Cohen is that guy that is crazy enough that he just might.
Yeah.
All right, so let's rip off a few pitchers here. I'm gonna start naming a few guys and this will be more. Do we think the Giants? Because we know the Giants are going to be in on pitching, but we don't know to what extent. And any of these guys do you like for the Giants? I've got Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, Tatsuya Imai.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was another in here. And Ranger Suarez. I'll stop with those four. I think those are the clear top four, in my opinion.
I like the last two the most on that list. I don't think Valdez is going to be in the Giants' pocketbooks. I think he's going to demand some ridiculous amount. He definitely wants way over $100 million for the contract.
When that guy intentionally hit his own catcher, that ruled him out for the Giants. Buster Posey is not going to sign a guy that would do that.
Yeah.
So I think Framber Valdez is out of the picture.
Yeah, I don't see Valdez. And Cease, I think he's going to be a little too high priced for the Giants. I think I never pronounce his name right, the Japanese guy. Amai, is that how you say it?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm definitely not the world's expert on this stuff.
All right. So Amai, he might be the guy they go over a little bit. He's only, 26, 28?
27, going to turn 28, if my notes are correct.
All right. So you can sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal. And, he's going to be still in his early 30s. I think this team has to figure out a way to get enough pitching to compete now. I don't think, we look at the Giants roster and it really is, it's kind of a weird mix to me. It's constructed kind of weird. Now, if Eldridge comes in and you make another deal and get a younger, better, good outfielder that can make contact, it starts to make a little more sense. But right now, the roster is kind of top heavy with some veterans that are in this window where you got to win with them. Or if you don't, you're going to have to, you're just going to have to rebuild it in the next couple of years if you don't win with these guys in the next 2 years.
Yeah, but the only way they're going to win, whether they add a hitter or not, they need pitching.
Oh, that's totally the case.
They need 2 guys at least. So
I want 4. I want 4 pitchers signed, 2 starters and 2 relievers. That's what I want. I don't even, you know what? Even if you miss out on signing any possible upgrades in the free agency position players, give me 2 starters and maybe a third. And I'm not talking Scherzer is one of those 2. He's my third starter. He's my 6th man, so to speak, that gives me 15 to 20 starts if he's available, if other guys needed. Aren't around. Yeah.
Scherzer's not opposed to going into the bullpen though.
I think Scherzer's coming, but he can't be one of the 2 guys that you're talking about in the rotation. You can't count on him.
If you get Scherzer, and this is where it's tricky, because I've always said, I want 2 starters, but I also want some of the young guys that they have to have opportunities to compete for jobs. And that's where it gets really tricky, because I do think, Logan Robbie and Roop is locked in as a starter. Now, Roop's got some question marks on how many innings he can go with.
125.
Yeah, so you're going to need to fill in starts there. But like McDonald showed some good things. Now, having watched him a lot in Sacramento, I still am not sure I love him as a starter long term. I still think he'd be really good in the pen as like a swing guy. But, he showed some good things. Tidwell, I really like as a, and he's got major league experience. He made, I think, 2 starts with New York before the trade. So he's a guy I really like. Like, I just want these guys to have opportunities to compete for jobs. And that's where it gets a little tricky if you sign too many guys. But, as we've seen,
but I think that fifth spot should be for one of those, whoever is the best of those young guys, not including Roop. Roop gets a spot. And then you have that 5th spot for whoever is
McDonald, Birdsong,
Wizenhunt,
Kaiwei Ting. I think,
right,
all
whoever
those guys,
is pitching the best. But then also, that someone's going to get hurt. Robbie Ray's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get hurt. I don't want to list all of them off because any of them could get hurt.
Sure.
And there's going to be, room in the rotation. We only had 2 starters by the end of the year, right?
Here's what I want. Here's what I want for the Giants. I want it's Webb, Ray, and Roop, the 3. The other 2 I want out of these 3 pitchers is Amai, Suarez, and why did I just forget the lefty from Chicago, the Japanese pitcher?
Imanaga.
Imanaga. 2 of those 3 is what I think would be great, because that gives you 5 starters, and then Scherzer could be signed as bullpen help and could fill in when you need, and then those other guys that are not, Wizenhunts and the Wins and the McDonalds and all of those guys. I don't want to see them opening day as part of the 5 rotation. If that's happening, then I think the Giants are looking at 2025 all over again.
Yeah. And I think you'd be in a good spot if, as you guys mentioned, if you have 5 guys that you're going to start at the year, start the year with that are, veterans, with Roop being he's in his 3rd year now, so it'll be not quite a veteran, but, not like a brand new starter here or anything. If you had some of these guys like Tidwell and all them, as they're going to end up getting starts, and you just hope that they get enough opportunities where they can prove themselves to the point where when Robbie Ray walks, you're like, all right, we can slot this guy right in and feel pretty good about it. Or you at least got enough of a sample size out of the group that you can just be like, nope, can't trust them, and just go get someone next offseason. Like that's,
or you do sign one of these big free agents knowing that Robbie Ray is coming off the books next year. You're going to have 20 however million dollars.
25 million.
Yeah, 25 to spend. So, but they can't allow to happen what happened last year, where you start out the year, the pitching is strong, they're playing extremely well, they're relying on that pitching staff, they have the best staff in baseball, and then second half everybody's hurt, and it's a mash unit, and you got people coming in and filling in, starting guys that you never heard of, different people coming up from AAA every week, and you need depth, you need pitching, and then worry about the augmenting the lineup after that.
The pen in the second half, it was like unrecognizable compared to what you saw like a month earlier, because it was like Miller got hurt, Rogers Doval got traded, Rodriguez gets hurt. Next thing you know,
there was one guy I think Walker. That was on the opening day bullpen.
Yeah, it was nuts. I think Walker was like it just. That was insane. How many?
Yeah, he's the one you wish was gone.
Either got hurt or traded in such a short period of time. Like it was insane.
I'm laughing at the chat because somebody says we got to sign everybody. We got to go after these guys. And what was the comment? At some point, we're going to have to go all in for these huge free agents like Tucker and Amai. Give them Casey's hot cousin if we have to, right? Yeah. I feel like I'm going to have her on the show at some point and be discussing service dogs because she had a really nice service, and I'm a dog lover, and
Yes.
maybe I said maybe I'll do a dog show or something. And gosh,
You're
everybody.
opening yourself up to a lot of jokes, Dan, if you bring her on the show. I'm just
Oh
like,
yeah.
The chat would have to
Like,
be
oh,
on their
we're all-
best behavior.
yeah, they're gonna
Which
just
doesn't
all be
normally
like, we all know
happen.
why. We all know why she's here. Yeah. No, I think of the four guys we kind of listed, I really like Amai. I think that's my favorite. That would be the guy above all other players on free agency, include that we can reasonably talk about the Giants like being a major factor for. I think he's got to be at the top of the list. When they made comments about we want to be cautious about $100 million contracts, and they're kind of pouring that cold water on all that. But to me, like, cautious is not unwilling. Like that doesn't mean we're not ever going to. They offered Yamamoto 10 plus years or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly.
They put a $300 million offer in front of him, just like the LA and a few other teams. And, he went to LA. It is what it is. I do think a guy that's going to turn 28, especially if his market doesn't explode to like 8 years, if it does stay in that 6-year range where you might be able to get him for $150-ish million, like I could see the Giants getting very aggressive there, because you're talking about his age 28 through age 33 season.
Well, look,
and maybe he wants the opt out after year 4 or something. I mean, I know none of us really love that, but I could see that.
I'm fine with that. And I think the Giants are going to be in on him. I don't buy what Greg Johnson's saying. Here's why. Buster and Maniason went over and scouted him. They're not going to waste their time.
Yeah.
If they, like, oh, let's just fly to Japan and watch this guy, but we don't have the resources. We're not going over to sign him.
Yeah. Vitello just went to see Lee to pay his respects when he took his one at bat,
Yeah.
That's all.
These guys aren't wasting their time if they know they're not going to pursue somebody.
Yeah.
The only reason they wouldn't pursue him is if they didn't like him.
Yeah. And did you see his comments about, everybody assumes like he wants to go to LA.
He wants to strike out Ohtani.
He's like, I want to go. He flat out said, I want to strike him out and I want to go at him and beat Yamamoto and all these. Like, he was like, I want to go at those guys.
If you want to do that,
go to the Dodgers and be the third fiddle.
There's 3 teams you want to sign with if you want to do that, and that's the Giants, the Padres, or the D-backs. If you want to take on the Dodgers and beat, because that's the most team you're gonna play them the most.
Plus, you want the short flight.
Yep.
Yeah. And to Dallas's point there, that comment, why would you want to be
short?
Third fiddle. I said the same thing last year about Sasaki, and then I saw him cry on the field, and I went, "Oh, that's why."
That guy's such a weenie.
Like, come on, I hate that. That's
it's fourth fiddle now. I forgot about him.
Yeah, No, and hey, Benz, I don't think any of us are going to claim he is better than Yamamoto. I'm just saying, like, that's his mindset. That's what he came out and said. Like, I want to go at those guys. I want to beat those guys. And I think that you should hear that. Like, Buster, I can only imagine Buster hears those comments and it's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna put a big offer in front of that guy. So
I think that would be the case. And and I want, when we finish the starters, I want to talk about the bullpen too.
Yeah, we'll go through some bullpen guys, because I did bring up a comment from Nick, and this is not me saying, because I'm really high on Ponce. This is not me saying, hey, cheap out and go for the guy that's inexpensive or anything like that. But I think realistically, when you look at a guy like Cody Ponce, he's probably not going to get a huge deal. And when I'm talking like 20 plus million AAV, I mean, you're looking at a guy that likely is only going to get like 10.
Right.
And there is some precedent. Guys like Kelly, Fetty, there's another I'm forgetting that came over from Korea and actually had a ton of success, like in their 30s. It's going to be a short-term deal. I think this is a guy that you could potentially go after that would allow you to still fill the pen and also try and get one of those top starters. And it would be really, and I actually think there's upside out of Ponce to be like a number 3 if he hits the way you
didn't we already have a Ponce once? Sidney Ponce.
Oh, Sidney Ponzone.
Oh, was it Ponce or Ponzone?
Ponson.
Oh, okay. I just remember him blowing it in the playoffs against the Marlins in 90. Was it 97 or was it 03? Okay, yeah.
He was the one they traded for from Baltimore to be the number 2 behind Schmidt.
Yeah, that's right. It was 03 because I was back in Connecticut. I remember at that point living back there and watching. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy we gave up, and he was supposed to be the ace of the staff.
Yeah. I like Ponce though as an option to be, hey, let's sign this guy to be our 5, and then also go get
what's his first name? Cody
Ponce.
Oh, no wonder you want him.
Clearly, exactly what I want.
Dan must have lost his entire internet.
Yeah, I wonder.
He's not even in the chat.
Oh, he said his PC died. What the heck? Oh man, he just did a whole bunch
like it died in the sense that you can't even plug it in. It's dead. It's.
I don't know. He said he's pissed, so I'm guessing.
Oh man,
Caveman lived up to his name today.
He should come on with his phone.
Yeah, you could call Wilma and Fred and get his electricity fixed.
Yeah.
So. Oh
man.
But yeah, let's run through. Are there any other starters you guys like? Maybe some guys that might be short-term options, because
I would be okay with Adrian Hauser from the White Sox. He's not going to cost a lot, and he had a decent season for a crappy team. Let me see what his numbers looked like last year. I'm just going to pull them up here. Hauser, he's going to be 33 here in February. He had a 3.3 WAR, 3.31 ERA. He started 21 games, 125 innings pitched. A guy like that is not going to cost a lot, and he might be available. He's kind of maybe falls into that Ponce category, maybe a little higher. If you don't get one, maybe you look at someone like him as the other.
Yeah, I think he's probably got more. I feel like Ponce has more upside. Hauser's more proven. Like is kind of how I view them.
Yeah.
Hauser's a little bit up and down in his career, kind of looking throughout his career numbers there. Yeah, that's my guess.
Yeah.
What about a Zach Gallen?
Man, put this $2 towards your Black Friday PC deal. Zach Gallen. I think Gallen or Merrill Kelly. I like both of those guys on like a 2-year deal. Either I should say. I like either of those guys on. I don't really want them to just go sign both and call it good.
Now this guy's up and down, really up and down. But do you like Giolito at all?
Isn't he coming off like a big? I don't think it was Tommy John, was it? But isn't he coming off a big injury?
Here's another guy. Here's another guy that I wouldn't mind. That can give you be either in the bullpen or a starter. You guys all remember he was here with Gabe Kapler, the infamous Zach Littell. Littell, if you get one of the guys if you get Amaya or Suarez, and you can't afford another one, guys like Littell, Hauser, Ponce, those are the kind of guys that I want to see him go after him, because he can be a bridge pitcher. If he's, the Giants just need to, frankly, they need to just go out and get some starters that will become bullpen guys that don't make the rotation, and then go sign one closer. And my closer, we get to closers, is I don't know why I like him, because he's old, but he's still pitching well. Henley Jansen, he's a good option. He went 30 save opportunities last year and got 29. He only blew one save, and he's just a veteran. He knows how to pitch. He's not what he was when he was with the Dodgers, but this guy knows how to pitch.
Yeah. I to your first point there, I agree. If you can get Imai or someone like that. And then that's where, kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where you can get a guy that could start if none of the young guys step up, like you could put Littell out there and have him compete with the young guys. You could put Hauser out there, have him compete. I do think Ponce is going to chase an opportunity where he's going to start. I think this is kind of his one chance to come over and start and try and earn a bigger contract. He's been in Korea and Japan for 4 or 5 years. I feel like he wants an opportunity to start somewhere. So that's just
see him being a Giant if that's the case. He wants to start, and they do not land Amai or Suarez or who's some of the other or I'd be shocked if they got Valdez. I don't even think they'll talk to him. I don't think
they'll talk to Cease either. I don't see it with him. I get this. People love his shapes, his slider shapes, nasty. But then you look at his numbers and it's like he's had one phenomenal year, another year that's been, pretty solid. And then a lot of like just underwhelming seasons. I just don't want to give this guy 7 or 8 years. I mean, it's just,
there's no way. I see Joe Boyd says Littell's not a starter. He's a bullpen arm. Well, he actually started quite a bit with Tampa Bay.
He's a bit of a 5 and dive, I will say.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not the greatest, but that's why I like him, because he's one of those guys you can sign him as a bullpen guy, but he can start when you need him to start.
Yeah. Brandon Woodruff, Rick said he's another good arm. His velo is down and stuff is down a little bit. But if you're on like a 1 or 2 year deal, I'd like him, but I'm not sure what he's going to get elsewhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of options for them to beef up the starting rotation, though. It's just like we were talking about. It's not a lot of. It's not like there's aces out there. You got guys.
That's
pretty
good
much
though for the Giants, because they're not going to sign a bunch of aces. So we need some 2 and 3 guys to.
I'll tell you where I think
in there.
You're talking about Dylan Cease. He seems to fit Steve Cohen. He seems like a guy that would sign him. Like, oh hey, Dylan Cease. He'll take the big money and and then I'm curious where you guys think Suarez is going to go. Not Suarez, Schwarber.
I could see him going back to Chicago, honestly.
Really? The Cubbies?
Who do they have at DH? I mean, Tucker's going to be gone. Suzuki, they're supposedly wanting to trade. He was playing in the outfield anyway.
Yeah. Could you?
I mean, unless you're just cutting payroll. I mean, it's Ricketts. Wouldn't shock me, but
yeah,
I could see that as a fit. I don't know if that's where you go. Supposedly Boston loved him, and they had him briefly. I don't know. I mean, he's a fit most anywhere. I mean, he's a fit theoretically for the Giants, but I mean, they're not gonna permanently block Bryson unless they're just gonna trade him.
I'm just curious where some of these big guys are gonna go. Like, where's Pete Alonso gonna end up?
I still think he just signs with New York long term.
Yeah,
I think they've been playing chicken for a while, and I think that's where he wants to be.
Seems like it. He just seems like a Met, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe, I agree 100,000,000% with this.
Oh yeah, I did a video on that one too.
Yeah,
and I'd love to have Freddie Peralta. Now I thought it's funny. I'm doing the video, and then I should have prepared and looked at his salary up before what his projected salary. But I thought he was a $20 million guy, And then I looked at Spot Track, and they're projecting $30 million, and I'm like, I don't see it, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think he's a guy that you could get on a cheaper deal if you if you got him, and then I don't know if you could do this or not. Like, I don't know if baseball actually allows us, but are you able to basically rip up contracts and just sign a new extension or whatever, or does it just have to be an extension?
I think that it seems like that's only in the NFL, right, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
because he's $8 million.
Yeah, because I wonder if you can.
Can you put in a bonus, some ridiculous, like, hey, we're going to give you a bonus if you make 5 starts. Here's a $10 million bonus for 26 if you make 5 starts.
Or I wonder if they can, like, for tax reasons, like I wonder if they could try and lock him up to like a 4-year extension and be like, oh yeah, we're going to pay you $30 million a year or something like that. But then I don't know if like they can make it to where, hey, we're going to pay your signing bonus up front, you know, in year one. So the year they're paying them $8 million, like, so that way it cuts the AAV for the CBT. I don't know. Like, that's where I'm not sure how they would be, if they could manipulate it at all, where if they could take that 8 mil, because the competitive balance tax portion of your payroll, it doesn't line up necessarily with your actual real dollars you're making that year. It's whatever your AAV is. So I wonder if, like, hey, if we extend this guy, if you can get that 8 million factored into, like, in some way to lower that tax hit every year.
Yeah.
Because then you might be able to, like, just pay him a little more on the other 4 years and just whatever.
Looks like it's possible.
I like Peralta. I don't think Milwaukee wants to trade him though at $8 million.
I don't know though. They're the kind of team that tends to move those guys because they don't want to lose them for nothing. I mean, they'll get a comp pick, but
right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky situation. Yeah, no, I agree with that. All right, let's do we'll do some relievers before we hop off on this. But
okay,
you mentioned Jansen, another guy linked to the Giants, Devin Williams. I think Iglesias is out there. I'm just ripping off closers here. Suarez is out there. I'm not necessarily fond on that one. Am I missing any closers here that are going to be on the market?
You said Iglesias, right?
And yeah, Iglesias and Rogers, not a closer, but Rogers is out there. Edwin Diaz is the other one. I was like, I know I'm missing something.
Diaz is going to either be a Dodger or a Met.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think anybody else is in play.
I don't think the Giants are going to sign any big name relievers. I just don't get that impression. I think it's kind of they see it as kind of a crapshoot where some guys are good one year, some guys are bad one year, and the guys that are good consistently are expensive. So I think you're going to see a lot of scrap heap signings. They're going to try and fill the cabinet with tons of guys, from all around. They're going to have a huge field to try and pick from in spring, and they're going to just piece together the best bullpen they can with a lot of different guys. So you might see Rogers coming back. I definitely see that happening, but
here's
like the Jansen type thing, I really don't think that's going to be the case.
Let me throw you out a dark horse, and I don't see this dark horse as a closer to start the season or even be on the roster at the start of the season. But we saw how Trey Savage came up from A-ball to pitch Game 7 in the World Series. He advanced. Pitching, we've seen guys pitch in the playoffs for the Giants in 21. I can't even remember the guy's name. He ended up getting traded to the Cubs for that.
Is it Castro?
Yeah, Castro. Castro. He came up, pitched in the playoffs. We saw Duvall come up, become the closer in 21, and he was like, where did he come from, right? How about mid to late season if he's having a really great year? And this, of course, is all dependent on the Giants protecting him in the Rule 40 draft, or the Rule 5 draft, which I think they will. And speaking of Will, his name is Will Bednar. Mm-hmm. This guy has electric stuff, and his problem has been command and health. He was the number 1 draft pick of the Giants, in the 22 season, something like that, after 21, 22, somewhere around there. A guy like him, he's like 25, I think now, roughly, isn't he?
20. I think he might have been 26 now.
Okay.
I talked about him when I was doing a Rule 5 video the other day.
Okay. I could see him being kind of this newfound closer for the Giants, like around mid-season.
26.
Could be. I was a fan of Yoel Peguero. I thought his stuff if you're going to pitch one inning, and he had some control problems and stuff, but I think he showed some potential to where if he could dial it in, he could have that type of closer mentality where he's kind of, you want to be able to instill a little fear into somebody, and coming in and throwing 103 miles an hour, that kind of has that closer mentality. So, he's going to have to perform to to be able to do it. But I think, he'll have a shot if he's really good in spring.
Yeah.
What do you think of Bednar, Cody?
Absolute closer stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know about if he ever gets the command under control enough. He throws his fastball a ton. I want to say he's like 70% on his fastball. But it's elite. Like the shape is elite. I mean, he was hitting 97 and 99 with pretty consistent. They have that, what is it? The induced vertical drop, they call it, where it's the amount of ball would drop normally with gravity based on their arm angles and whatnot, and how much it doesn't drop, because basically it's like how much spin they get on the ball. And he was at like 21, 22 inches, which is like elite in baseball. So, I mean, his heater is as good as you pretty much can hope for. And he added a splitter that's really good. His slider is disgusting. I mean, he's got three swing and miss pitches. And it's just, can he command the zone? Because if he ever does figure that out, I'm just going to say he will be their closer.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he'll ever figure it out. And they've got a few other arms.
He was not that bad at Mississippi State. He as a starter, he was able to command. I don't know if it's his back injuries that have caused this or what.
That'd be my guess. It's tough. All the different injuries he's had. So, I mean, that'd be my best guess. But yeah, he's a guy that I think you keep an eye on. I do think they'll have him pitch in Sacramento a little bit. I'm not sure he will break camp with the Giants, but there's a couple guys, to Dallas's point about bringing in some, kind of minor league deal guys that might break camp with the team, some vets. I could see them doing that and then having them compete with guys like Harris, Roxby. I think Peguero is going to get a job. I do think he's going to be kind of locked in, but I could see them competing with guys like that. I agree with him that I don't think they're going to go get one of the top closers on a long-term deal. I think Rogers is like the one guy that they might hand a 3-year deal to for the bullpen.
I could see Jansen if he doesn't get a lot of offers, that they could get Jansen on a 2-year deal.
Yeah, he might get him on a 1-year deal.
You might be able to get him on a 1 year
after 1-year deal. I'm not sure he even wants to go more than a year out right now.
Well, he mentioned he was lobbying at the end of the year. Hey, look, I still got a lot left in the tank. I can pitch for several more years. Meaning, I want I want a multi-year deal for myself.
Yeah, Fairbanks, Rick.
I heard Fairbanks is the Dodgers are interested in.
Yeah,
and that they may go with him if not Diaz.
Jill says, didn't Bednar pitch for the New York Yankees? That was David Bednar. He was with the Pirates. That is Will's older brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you're aware. I do think they're gonna go get a closer. I think it's gonna be a short-term option. I think Tyler is the one guy they might give a multi-year or 3 years deal to. I don't think they go more than 2 for any closer. I think
I don't see that either.
They have a lot of young arms in the minors that I think have closer potential, and they're so up and down year to year. I don't think they want to invest that big money.
Yeah, and I'm looking here for a quote that see if I can find it from Vitello, and I think I may have found it. Here it is. He says the question was asked to him about the roster. You've had some time to go over the roster in the 25 season. What are the team's strengths and weaknesses? Without reading all of it, he says the big X factor, this is where I want to focus on, is I've dived deep. This is Tony Vitello talking. I'm quoting. As I've dived deep into the roster, there's some young guys that could explode onto the scene if things click for them the right way, or at the very least could be household names in San Francisco by being legitimate everyday guys on the mound or the field. I think the Giants are, what we're talking about right here, are going to be looking at some of those young guys to see if they can take that next step.
Yeah. I really think Roxby has a real shot and I think Harris has a real shot out of camp.
Mm.
And
Harris
Juan Sanchez is a name to watch too from the left side, but they do have a couple lefties on the big league club that they like in the pen.
I don't think he's talking about Marco Luciano.
Hey, he might break out for another team. Who knows?
They might be talking about Matos, though. They might be.
Yeah, I mean, I think Matos is a guy they're going to want to see in camp, but maybe someone offers them enough where they just feel comfortable trading him. I kind of feel like that he might be a guy that maybe, Vitello wants to see in camp because he wants to see like, hey, can we coach this guy up? Because if Matos's defense was better, I feel pretty confident Gilbert never would have gotten his run last year. Like they would have just let Matos. But the problem is their outfield defense as a whole was horrible, and he was a negative in right field when he was out there defensively. So I think they kind of just were like, dude, we got to get someone out here that can field and then just deal with the bat from there.
He just kept Yaz too long, and then when he left, I thought, okay, we're finally going to figure out if Matos can make it or not. And then they gave him a couple of games, and he was up and down, and he never got a shot. I feel bad for the guy because I like him. I think he could be good.
Yeah, who's the speaking of Matos? You got Matos and Adames and Devers, and Luciano, and I'm sure there's a couple other guys, Spanish-speaking guys. Did they hold over any of the Spanish-speaking coaches?
Oscar Bernard, or not Bernard. Oh God, what is this?
Marvin?
No, not. It might have actually been Bernard, but I'm trying to. His first name was Oscar. He was the assistant hitting coach, the one Guerrero, maybe the guy they got from San Diego.
Okay, yeah, because they just
they
just need guys like that. I was really hoping for Richardson went to the Braves. I was really hoping he would become the first base coach, and but I'm just wondering, it's important to have some guys that are bilingual on the staff that can, help the players along. It's just, I think this team, I'm really excited. I don't know who the rest of the coaching staff is going to be, but the thing that excites me, especially after talking to Casey Wednesday night and getting his takes on things and then talking to him afterwards, the guys are really excited. The veterans, there's this talk of people aren't going to respect Tony Vitello. And, think about this, guys. And I've said this over and over again. Buster Posey was the guy that hired him. Buster Posey's not 58 years old. He's 37 and just retired 4 years ago. Okay. And he still, if he wanted to, and he didn't stop playing, he could still be playing. And Buster Posey took the 2020 season off during the COVID year. He had 2 adopted little girls, babies, and decided to just take the year off. Came back in 21. His previous year was 19, right? Bochy's last year. That's the only manager he ever knew. And then he gets Gabe Kapler and all these new coaches. And they introduce a whole new type of coaching. I mean, I'm there at spring training and I'm watching these guys. I'm standing or sitting 3 feet. Literally, I could just whisper to Brandon Belt as he's leaning against the backstop, and they're just looking at the iPads, and they're just studying this iPads. And it's like, this is kind of new to them, right? Mm-hmm. And Buster saw how organized those coaches were. He says, like, man, we won 107 games because our team was prepared. Those coaches, as much as we give Gabe crap for all of his, his personality, basically, he had his team prepared to play that year. And Buster,
what happened after that, though?
Well, my point is this: Buster left is what happened after that, and they fell apart.
And Belton Crawford got old.
Yeah, but the fact that Buster said, in his interview process that he wanted somebody that was relentless in his what was the word he used, in preparation. I mean, you can't get a guy that's more prepared than Tony. They asked Tony the other day why he wasn't married. He says, probably because I put my whole energy into baseball. This guy is going to spend more time. He's not going to be doing food reviews and hamburgers and all that crap. This guy,
Just walk faster, Dan.
he knows how to communicate.
It would be hilarious though if like the first week he posts a hamburger review.
Wouldn't that be great, man?
I would credit him for his sense of humor.
Yes,
honestly,
that would be awesome.
I would be like, oh boy,
It would be the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, it would be. It would be hilarious. Just to balance the smoke here.
Just need to post a Instagram while he's walking to the park.
Yeah. How about an Instagram of you riding your bike or walking, in town and talking to everybody? Yeah. No, I'm just saying that Buster hired this guy based on the fact that Tony's prepared. He believes in the analytics side of the game and the fundamentals and all of the latest technology of bat speed, of building up, physiology to improve bat speed. That's why Hunter Mentz is here. So you're looking at someone who says, I respect Tony Vitello. This is the guy I want. And then we got yahoos out there saying, national yahoos, like what's his name? The dude with the bow tie.
Ken Rosenthal.
Yeah. Saying, I just don't like this. He didn't pay his dues and the players may not respect him. That is such malarkey. I am just unbelievable. I could tell you this. Matt Chapman, Willie Adames, they will love Tony Vitello day one.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to play hard for him. We've all kind of said it about Kapler. I mean, a lot of us wanted him gone, but it's not that the staff was bad and they didn't have them prepared. I mean, I think it's not really arguable. Like, he got more out of less talent than Melvin got in Melvin's 2 years here. Melvin definitely had a better roster than Kapler did in 22 or 23. And Kapler's teams got more out of it. But that said, Kapler was a total weirdo that had no personal skills. Exactly. And he clearly lost the clubhouse by the end of 23. Like, it was brutal.
You got to be able to talk to people. He would text players and stuff, and he wouldn't have face-to-face meetings.
Yeah, so not to derail this all the way down that path, but yeah, I mean that's why a lot of us kind of mentioned when he said that, when Posey made the comments about what he wanted a manager, everyone was kind of like, so he wants the non-weirdo version of Gabe Kapler, basically. Like, he wants somebody that's into all that and being prepared and in the analytics, but actually has personal skills and knows how to talk to people and relate to players and all these different things. And that's, I feel like, every single person that knows Vitello in any capacity has basically said that's going to be his strength. Like, he knows how to talk to these guys and how to relate to players.
Exactly, so, Cody. I when we had Casey on the other night, I asked him, about the guys that communicate with you, that you have your back, and that are just, because I've taken some crap from some other people that have said to the fact that, because I made statements that they're going to play hard for Tony and they're going to really be, more prepared. They're going to want to fight for him. And I was like, oh, great, Dan. They want to play hard for him. Well, when I asked Casey the situation, because a lot of these guys that make these comments, they've never played. So if you play, you understand what a coach means to you. And a coach, you will do more for a coach that you believe in. And it may not make you a better hitter. It may not make you a better fielder, but you're going to play harder. Yeah. You're going to be more engaged. You're going to be more willing to listen to what they say. You're not going to just be like, oh yeah, I've heard that before, and just kind of. So I think players are really excited, and I think the Giants. I'm not ready to make any predictions because I don't know what the roster looks like
exactly.
But once I find out the roster, and if it comes out better than I hope it comes out, then I think the Giants are going to be in contention for definite, wild card. And I think if they make the right moves, there's no reason the Giants cannot finish in second place in the National League West.
I
Certainly.
agree. I think the Padres are going to lose a lot more than people think.
I think Vitello does not like to lose. And that's not to say that Bob Melvin liked to lose, but I do think that Melvin, he managed for 25 years, something like that. And you manage for that long, and you manage, every manager over time is basically 500, so you kind of get used to losing. And the Giants went through some really long losing streaks where they lost, 12 out of 13, 13 out of 14. And I think Vitello is going to be a little bit more averse to that type of situation. He'll shake things up. I just don't think we'll see the prolonged losing. Losing is going to be a little more unacceptable under Vitello, and I think that's a good thing for the Giants.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it'll be exciting.
I think we have it all figured out here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, thanks to these two guys. We're going to wrap it up, guys. This is something Dan proposed it to me. That hopefully next time we'll be able to have Caveman and Ricky on as well with us. Dan made an appearance and then he froze up on us in his PC night. So hopefully we'll be able to get those two fellas on next time. Dan brought this up though about doing this a couple times this off season. So we'll probably, maybe we'll do something like end of December or something like post winter meetings sometime around the holidays.
Yeah, we should have some news by then.
Yeah, that's kind of my hope is maybe we'll get something then, and then we can maybe do something like February or something before spring training when the roster seems pretty, pretty set. I think that'll be pretty fun to do. So yeah, we'll for sure try and do this a couple more times. So thanks to these guys. If you need to shout out anybody before we get off, Dan.
Cody's cousin.
Yeah.
Casey's cousin, I mean.
Cody's cousin. You got any attractive cousins there, Cody? Jeez. I tell you.
Now with a 10-foot pole, man.
Just play with me for a little bit here. Just okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I'm going to be Casey Schmidt. And I'm going to have Cody be me. And Cody asked me the question, "Hey, I ran into your cousin at the Padres game at Petco Park, and I was talking to her while she, and she just told me, oh yeah, oh yeah, okay, so I'm Casey. Oh, what she look like? Because I couldn't remember her name.
I would be going rough height, hair color.
I couldn't remember her hair color.
But you remembered she was attractive. Well, now you're just telling them where you were looking, Dan.
But
I just remember she was
Casey in a position where he has to decide which of my cousins is hot. He's having to think that.
I just couldn't.
I was like, she's rather plump, kind of average looking in the face, maybe a little bit, I don't know, maybe a 3 or 4.
Either way,
and honestly, if I ran into her again, I wouldn't be able to spot her in a lineup.
So funny.
I just was like, frankly, I remember the dog more because I was, petting the dog, and there was now I'm questioning if it was a golden retriever or a lab. I think it was a lab because I had the same lab. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Better notes, Dan.
I wonder if I got to look at my photos.
Yeah,
It
was an attractive lab.
Yeah,
I might have taken a picture of
a
the
real
lab.
good-looking dog.
Let me see. August.
I mean, honestly, if it was a service dog, I think that should have narrowed it down enough for Casey. But I don't know. Maybe he's got.
Well, he did come back to me and texted me yesterday with her name and says, yeah, she has a service dog. I should have texted him back. Says, is she, was I right? Is she attractive?
He probably knew that too on Wednesday. He just wanted to mess
John.
with you more.
Hey, look, my wife knows I am committed to her, and she's not afraid of me naming somebody who's attractive. I'm not chasing. It should tell you that I can't remember exactly what she looked like, that I wasn't staring at her. Because I
was just trying to be polite.
Yeah. No, she was just a nice lady. Anyway. But
Dan's wife knows that Dan will put his foot in his mouth.
Yeah.
she
I just loved the Dan quit digging comments that just kept coming in. He's just like, no, I was just saying that she was.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, okay. No.
Come
Come on, Dan. John says, Dan, you were attracted to a 30-year-old girl. No way around it.
Yeah.
Well, come on. I mean, I'm not afraid to admit that I see people that are attractive. I'm not chasing. Yeah. I'm very, 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 very happily married. So.
All right.
But hey, I just wanted to point out in closing, I want to give Cody his kudos again. A lot of the people, Cody called it Hunter Mentz before he was even on anybody's radar. He put a tweet out that said he believed this might be a good fit and the next Giants hitting coach. And then a week later, all of a sudden, as news is coming out, all the Giants reporters and people and social media people saying, oh, here he is. But nobody gives guys credit. Come on. Just because we're not mainstream media doesn't mean we can't call shots. There it is. Look, name that makes a lot of sense to be the next hitting coach in San Francisco. Toronto assistant hitting coach Hunter Mentz. Mentz played at the University of Missouri from 04 to 06. And that was dated November 6th, I believe. Yeah, November 6th. He wasn't hired till 2 days ago on the 12th.
Yeah.
That was my victory.
And Posey saw his post and looked him up and wanted to check him out.
Tony didn't even remember the guy. I mean, clearly.
Yeah, Jen says you were on Vitello early too. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was floated out elsewhere.
Yeah.
I will give credit. That was not an original name. Mentz I came up with. It was funny because I brought up Mentz and Iannotti or whatever, the other assistant in Toronto, and Ecker. I was like, these are the three guys I would start my search with. And I just kind of briefly mentioned them, 3, whatever, when Vitello was hired. And then I dug in a little more and I was like, this dude was at Missouri with Vitello.
Yeah, Vitello was the assistant coach.
Yeah, that's what got me to, this guy makes sense. And anybody that's asked me for a pitching coach prediction, I've got nothing. I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea on a pitching coach. But if they wanted to go in-house, he doesn't have a pitching coach experience, but was a major league pitcher. Contos could be a guy that they might be able, I don't know if he's
someone mentioned him earlier.
Got coaching blood in him, but I'm curious who the AAA pitching coach is for the Giants. Do you know?
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Hasn't done that well.
Maybe get the guy in San Jose.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right.
All right, everybody. Well, we're gonna head out for today. Thanks again, Dan and Dallas, for joining us tonight.
And Dallas and I will be back on Monday night. You're available, right, Dallas?
Yep.
All right, Monday night, 8:30, NorCal Sports
join
Network.
with us.
What's that?
I said same time. Yeah.
Are you guys going on Monday night?
8:30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do a player interview usually on Monday night.
Oh, okay.
Go check out.
It's
gonna be Darian Smith this week.
Okay.
Who's over. Yeah. So he'll be on this week. So we're gonna do that, and then we've got a few names that we're lining up for. We aim for every Monday, but yeah, we're gonna hop off, and we'll catch everyone. Go Giants, and we'll see y'all next time.
Take care, everybody.